Good evening and welcome to BackChat. I'm your host, Timba Madima. This evening we're chatting to Willy de Beer, aka Willem. Willem de Beer, he's with us, a 400-meter athlete, an Olympian, as well as, I don't know, let me not say too much, we'll get into that later. But he's with us this evening, Willy de Beer, Willem, Coach Willy Beer, if you're looking for him on social media. He's in the building. I'm just going to send him an invite. Welcome everybody. Hope you guys are doing well. We're going to have a great night of chatting. Good evening and welcome to BackChat. I'm your host, Timba Madima. This is BackChat powered by Backtrack Sports. Billy.
Hey, how are you?
How you doing?
I'm great, and you?
Good. Good to see you, man. Long time no see. It's been a minute.
Yeah, the current situation all over has made it difficult to see people, but thanks for the invite.
Yeah, it's a pleasure, man. Definitely looking forward to this chat. I mean, your CV alone says, you've served your country and your nation like a warrior. So, it's definitely an honor to have you here. And yeah, looking forward to a lekker chat.
Oh, thanks a lot, man. I'm looking forward as well.
Yeah, let's do a few welcomes here. I see Sibanya Music is in here. Andre 800 is in the building. It's Sam Mabe. Welcome. Uncle James. We got Andrea De Beer. Welcome to you. We've got Bueta 728, Kutlwano, Medlin Zander. Van der Lit is in here. We've got Official Fani, Selena. Welcome, guys. Salbi Mukucha. Sifarzo is in the building. Mika Ulafsa Tuli. Nokutula is in here. Oh, Tracy Lee. Welcome to you as well, champion. She's in the building as well as Charmon. How you doing, William? You good? Are you healthy? Are you strong?
Yes, Timba, I'm healthy. Strong, I don't know. It's funny to say that I'm strong by myself. Someone else needs to say that.
Yeah, I hear you. All right, Billy, what we're going to do is I'm going to do an introduction so that the people who are in here watching can know exactly who we're dealing with, and then we'll take it from there, yeah?
Okay, sharp.
Super. Ladies and gentlemen, with us this evening, we've got Willem de Beer, a.k.a. Willy. He is, listen up, he's an Olympian, Olympic Games 4x400 meter finalist, World Championships 4x400 meter silver medalist, African Championships 4x400 meter silver medalist, African Championships 400 meter bronze medalist, World University Games 4x400 meter bronze medalist, SA Championships 400 meter 2x bronze medalist, as well as SA Championships 400 meter silver medalist, World University Games 400 meter finalist. Hey man, this list is getting long, Willie. I'm getting tired here.
We're digging up some old stuff now.
World Under 20 Championships 4x100 meter and 4x400 meter team member, as well as the World Under 18 Championship 400 meter semi-finalist, as well as medley relay finalist. Ladies and gentlemen, Willem de Beer. It's interesting. It goes a whole long way back. Imagine World Under 18 Championship. That feels like a very long time ago, yeah?
Yes, Timba, that's a very long time ago. It was 2005, and I remember
2005.
Rayer Campbell coming to me in school time, saying to me that he was talking about Morocco, where place. And at that time, I was so ignorant, I didn't even know Morocco is a country. I thought it was an island somewhere. So in my mind, I was preparing to go to the islandic place, whatever. Yeah. So yeah, that's a long time ago. I was only 17.
Yeah, I mean, it's good memories. I like bringing this up, so that people can know, like, it shows that, you were at a top level, almost like 10 years, competing at international levels. That's not easy stuff, you know what I mean? It's a lot of hard work, a lot of sacrifices. But let me do some more welcomes. We've got some 400 meter champions in here. We've got Guardio Isaacs is in the building. He wants to hear what's happening. We've got Zagiri Nene all the way in the KZN. He's in here to hear what's going on here. We've got Days Maliwana all the way in America. Oh, Keegan Mitch is in the building. He's a writer as well as journalist. He's in the building as well. Yeah, welcome, guys. I think Ronel Rocha. Yeah, so I mean, really, what you've achieved already, I mean, it's amazing, you know. And I think it's one of those things you need to all constantly remind yourself about, like, hey, you know what I mean? This is what I've done. I mean, for the biggest one will obviously be behind Olympic Games. I mean, the silver medal at World Championships, and also an individual medal at the African Championships. I mean, that's big achievements. But we'll get into that later. Let's start in the beginning. Who is Willem de Beer? Who is Willem de Beer?
Timba, I started my life in Pretoria and I've been here ever since, né? So I'm a local boy.
Local boy.
I went to Hoërskool Waterkloof
Yeah.
and was there the whole time. But it was also just the closest school to where we lived. So, and my
Yeah.
brothers were already there. So I went there to high school, found my coach there, and I found my real event there. Because you know, coming from primary school, young athletes only know distance sprinters, no distances below 200.
Yeah. Yeah.
That time when I was in school, there wasn't even a 200. There was only 150.
What?
So yeah, I'm sounding old now, and I didn't even know about the 400 until the age of 15. I didn't even experiment with it. So yeah, I came from Waterkloof and I started my athletic career there and my hopes and dreams. And yeah, and it took off from there. And then I
Yeah.
went to Tuks University, actually, University of Pretoria.
Okay, so at what point, obviously, you're a Bambino, you're busy running 150, trying to outsprint everybody. How do you discover this 400 meter? I mean, it's a mystical event because it's like a unicorn. I remember, like, even when I remember running my first one, it was never there, and then all of a sudden it's like you have to run one lap around the field. You know what I mean? How was your journey towards discovering the 400?
Look, it wasn't something I was keen to do. The 400, and I think many of the guys who's listening now who's doing 400 currently probably might maybe feel the same. The 400 finds you. You don't go
Yeah.
look. And how I got my chance to run the 400, if he's listening, a guy called Tian Proudfoot, he was
Mm.
the 400 runner of my grade, and he was injured, and I had to step in for him, being the 300 hurdler. I had
Yeah.
to step in for him, and that was my first 400, and I managed. It wasn't great, but it was good enough because I didn't train for it. I managed the fifth position at the inter high with a 55. And then the teacher said, "You are no longer running anything else. That's your event." Because that was instantly the fastest substitute that you could see. The other guy was actually running 50 at that time.
Yeah.
Uh, Very early developer, very good at his age. And then I got to step in for him and I started training for it. And the next year, the Nationals was in Bloemfontein. It was my first Nationals and my first provincial colors. So the right event changed everything.
Mm. So obviously, like you said, the right event changes everything. Was there a moment where I mean, at what point did you feel like, you know what, this event, this is what I want to do. I want to become a professional. I mean, that's a big. I mean, running at high school is like, I mean, inter-house, you win, really, everybody screams your name. You're a superstar, interhoer, Waterkloof, you know what I mean? And then at what point do you decide this event is what I want to do professionally, or, at a high international level?
Well, Temba, at the age of 12, it was the 2000 Olympics, and I only started noticing athletics on a global scale. And that by that time, Llewellyn Herbert got the bronze medal at Sydney, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And that's where I first noticed the Olympics. But by the age of 16, so 4 years later, it was the Athens Olympics. And then I really made sure that I was watching. And I realized that this is not something. It's very far. It's difficult. It might happen, but I started dreaming about it.
Mm.
So the real thing the fact that I got onto the podium at nationals in 2004, that changed my perspective in thinking that this is possible. It's not. It's probable. It's possible, not necessarily probable. So I
Mm,
had to. Years later, only it happened. So it wasn't something that came easily. It took a lot of injuries, a lot of mistakes, um, right training program, trust in the coach, all those things. Yeah. So I think I would say at the age of 16, I started dreaming about the Olympics.
mm. Yeah, it's a good age. I mean, that's just before you're about to step out of high school. You have to make the right calls and decisions at that age, at that time. So yeah, absolutely. I mean, good time to do it. Nicknames. I know you've got quite a few nicknames. What's your nickname? What do your people call you?
Well, when we were only first year students running for the Tux team, you used to joke around and said, "Hey kids, it's Billy the Bear." Uh, um, but the name Billy Bear kind of stuck. It's not something I gave myself. Um, it just happened. I don't know quite way that stuck. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it says a lot about you because I mean, yeah, besides it being like obviously it's your Willem de Beer, but I mean it shows a lot of your character. You know, you're a fighter, you're resilient, hardworking. You know, the Willem Beer is not always uh, the most recognized, but hey, when he's in the mix, you know, he's in the mix. You must be fearful.
Thanks a lot.
So.
You make me feel like I want to run again.
It's the truth, man. It's the truth. So obviously, let's talk about the transition. So high school transitioning into um, first year university, like you did mention you were Takis. How is that transition? How is that transition for you at that age? Obviously, it's a window that swallows a lot of athletes. I don't even want to talk about female athletes. Female athletes like a black hole; they all just disappear into it. The guys is a bit different. What kept you? Obviously, you did have the Olympic dream and goal already at that stage.
Um, uh, the transition is difficult, definitely, because from school, which is a very protective environment, suddenly you have lots of freedom,
Mm,
and you can decide whether you go to class or not. You can decide whether you attend training or not. And nobody tells you what to do, so you have
yeah.
to stand and make the right choice, a disciplined choice, if that's what you want.
Mm,
So I think what fueled me a lot in the first 3 months of my university years, a lot of my peers, training partners at that time, guys who already went through first year, was
mm,
telling me how much I will struggle in my first year. Was telling me how difficult it is to be first year,
mm,
and see my performances drop, and I only come back in my second year. And I was determined to prove them wrong.
yeah.
Uh, and I was determined because I heard about the World Students and having went to the World Youth and the World Juniors, it was the next logical step for me. World Students is the next thing. So I
Mm,
was really determined to show that I can actually do it. So I found first year, while it was difficult, I found it to be one of my most memorable years in terms of the transition. It wasn't something that was scary to me. It was something that I embraced.
yeah. I mean, immediately, exactly what you're talking about. You know, that first year, obviously, with World University Games, that became, I mean, it became a big stepping stone towards your international senior career. I mean, you ended up at the World University Games as a finalist in the 400 meter. Talk about that moment. I mean, here you are in the final. You finished. Uh, I've got the position here, but just tell the story behind it, and then also just mention what it was like finishing in the position you did.
Some somewhere in your career, you are always the youngest in the team. No? So either as a grade 8 pupil, you are always the youngest in the team, and there's always some space where you are the youngest until you're not the youngest anymore. So by that time, as a first year student, I was the youngest in the group. I was the youngest to attend, to be in the nationals final, the seniors final as well. And having competed with seniors the whole of my first year as a 19-year-old, coming to the World Juniors, coming to the junior nationals was almost easy, running school children. And with that confidence, I went to the World Students. So once again at the World Students, I was the youngest team member. I was one of two youngest team members. And most of the guys, which I have fond memories of, people like Hannes Dreyer, people like Inikotse Jr., and people like Snyman, Snyman Prinsloo, those guys were 23. So to me, they seemed like ancient and they've been long time in the game. And I took some inspiration from them, and tips and tools to survive as a senior athlete. And I must tell you the truth. The advice that I was given from my coaches at that time, being a youngest, also one of the youngest to participate in the 400 field, was to run each round as if it's your last, to get to the next round. And that's pretty much what I did. Having survived the heats quite easily with a 47 back then, and then the semi-final, I knew I had to give everything to go to the final. And I managed the 46.32. And only then did I realize that, looking at the times of the semi-final, that I have a possibility for a medal. So I went back the next day. Heartbreaking, actually. I ran exactly the same time as in the semi-finals. And it was kind of like Fast and the Furious scene where the cars go like this. There was a Russian guy. Then I was in front, and then he was in front, and then I was in front, and eventually he dipped me. And it's fourth place is not a nice place, because it's so close to being on the. Yeah, you almost want to come fifth rather, because then you knew you managed
you missed out
to miss the bronze by 0.1. Yeah, by 0.1, and it was very illuminating in terms of my potential, but it was very disheartening to be so close but not be there on the podium.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a difficult one. That's why I wanted you to tell the story behind it before I just set out the position. And it's exactly that. Finishing fourth is never easy. It's a tricky one. But I mean, can you still hear me? Looks like we're getting a bit of some lagging. Can you still hear me, Willie?
We're breaking up. Yeah, just.
And now, let me just see if it's my side. It looks like it's lagging on your side. Ladies and gentlemen, if you can still hear us, if you can hear me, just wave, send a wave so we can hear you. All right, we can hear you. But Willie, it looks like it's better now. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it looks. Yeah. Okay, sharp. Cool. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, definitely. I mean, I think it was a defining moment in your career as well, because from there on, I mean, it made you hungrier to become a prominent senior athlete on the South African scene.
I missed you again just a little bit. Can you just repeat shortly?
I'm saying it played obviously a significant role, because it paved the way towards you becoming a prominent like SA athlete in South Africa. Like when I think about when you mentioned about like the Prinsloo and the Hannes Dreyer and all those guys, yes, it's such good memories. I mean, track and field, at that time it was so different, because we come from a time where seniors dominated, you know what I mean? Seniors were like, when you look at senior athletes, it was like, one day I want to be like these guys. Today, you've got youngsters who can take on seniors at a much different level than, it was back then. But I mean, it's interesting because we always had those role models and guys to look up to. So that brings me to that question. Who was your role model coming up in track and field in your early days?
Well, I had a few role models internationally and a few, some of them locally. So I was lucky
Yeah.
enough to train with some of my role models. Um, being not growing up in an athletic house or a sporting house at all, I was not exposed to lots of sports people and different kind of sports.
Mm,
And as I became a junior, I didn't even know the name Algie van Sale. I only started Algie van
mm,
Sale when I started training with him by the age of 19. And him being a world junior champion at the age of 16, I was very inspired by that and to be able to train with this person. But along with him, I was training with other people as well who were all in the top 20 of the world
mm,
currently at that time in the 400 hurdles. So the training group or the training environment was harsh. You had to,
mm.
it was like performance every day. And then nationally, yes, I followed the career of a guy named Jeremy Warrener. So the 400,
Yeah.
I know that
Oh,
guy.
fantastic. Yeah.
And mostly because he won the Olympics in 2004 when I discovered the 400 meter. He won the
Mm.
400 there by the age of 21. And also lots of people said I look like him and run like him. So
Yeah.
that,
With the glasses as well.
yes, you know where the glasses comes from. So I was inspired by him a lot. And a guy named Angelo Taylor, 400 hurdles.
Yeah,
He was also
Angelo.
me. Yeah, yeah. I was privileged to run against him as well at some point.
Sheesh. Fantastic, man. This is some amazing stuff. Okay, let's move up. We're moving up now. Moving up on the timeline, obviously junior. Okay, senior time now. Um, so I think I'd want to go to the African Championships because obviously that's it's a big one as well. You know, getting an international individual medal is important. You know, because I mean, um, yeah, it's not easy. Getting an individual medal is not easy. Hey, it's not easy. You know, you would know, Billy. Talk about that moment. You know, representing South Africa against the best in Africa, and you know, being able to finish on the podium.
Um, I like the story of someone who's an underdog, someone who nobody expects something from. And
Yeah.
in 2012, I was well. This is opinion. It's not fact. I was one of the best 400-meter runners in the country, and I was expected to win the national champs.
Mm,
I didn't. It was in PE, and I didn't. I messed up the race really bad, and
mm,
came fourth. And based on that, I was selected only for the relay team for the
mm,
national for the. And when I arrived at the airport, it turned out one of my colleagues, 400 colleagues, didn't withdrew from the team, and they said to me at the airport, "You will be running the 400 meter as well." And
yeah.
obviously, I thought, well, now my chance to prove myself, at least for myself, to myself. And so we went there, and I ran the semi I kind of knew at that point that I would reach the semi final based
Mm,
on my season times and things. Um, but that was one of the most difficult championships that I've attended. In the sense of the guys who were at the 2012 African Championships would know. We went to Benin, which is sad to say one of the poorest countries in Africa, and
mm.
it, the conditions there, the living conditions was just out of this
Tough.
world.
Mm,
At one point we drove, we took the bus to the stadium for 2 hours, and only 1 hour of that road was on a tar road, paved road,
mm,
and the rest was on a gravel road.
mm.
And at one point in the city was overflowing with water. I still have a video of that, and we had to go through it with the bus, and the water was actually like going into the bus. It came, the water was at our feet,
Yeah.
and conditions in which we drove to the stadium. And I remember, no, after having driven 2 hours to the stadium, very small bus, there wasn't even enough places to sit for everyone. So what the team did is, if you competed, you were allowed to sit, and if you were only
Yeah.
spectating, you had to stand.
Yeah.
And I remember going to the stadium for that 2 hour bus drive, and then you are there, you have to compete and you have to stay there until the bus goes back. So having done the heats, you go back 400 last day of the last event of the program, you come there with the bus, you stay there the
Mm.
whole day, you run and you go back home last. There were two buses leaving. So I remember the heat was okay. The semi-final the next day, you're kind of stressing a bit, obviously, because you know it's just one more race to the final, and this is the second race in 24 hours. And if you make it, it's going to be the third race the following day in 48 hours,
Mm.
because it's
Mm.
one day after.
Yeah.
Um, it's kind of tricky because you wanna reserve something for the final, but you also want to get
Yeah.
into the final.
Yeah. You don't want to mess
So
up.
you kind of, yes, kind of played by ear. So if you are on the last semi-final, I can't remember which one. I think I was in number two. You kind of see what the other guys did and how much you need to do to get into the next race. And the other thing is, you also want to make sure that you get a good lane. Not that lanes matters these days, which is something that Wade van Niekerk proved. But I wanted to get a
Yeah.
good lane at least. So I managed to run, I think it was a 46 through my semi-final, which was good enough to qualify within the first four. And it was a
Yeah.
difficult race because the guy from Benin, the 400 meters from Benin, wasn't an experienced runner. So each race, he just went all the time.
Flat out.
And I drew him in my ears so much. And I remember also having Oscar Pistorius there, and
Mm.
yeah, we were three 400-meter guys, all of us 45s, and we kind of had this idea of maybe clean sweeping the podium. It didn't happen
Mm.
though, but we were two of us were on the podium. So the next day in the
Yeah.
final, yes, my roommate, which a lot of people will know, the walker Mark Mandel. He, yes, he was such an inspiration and motivational speaker for me. Like if you know Mark, you know he's just motivation
Yeah.
all the time.
Big Mark.
Mark,
Yeah.
Mark, of, Mark kind of helped me to understand that I have a real chance. And he was after running the final. I raced against Isaac Makwala,
Yeah.
and I was kind of expecting him to bomb out, and he didn't because he ran a PB in the heat, and then he chilled a bit in the semi-final, and then he ran another PB in the final. And I remember running the race at the 200-meter mark. You can look a bit. You can look in your peripheral vision a bit when you're racing the 400. I remember at the 200-meter mark, when I hit the 200-meter mark, Isaac was already 6 meters past his, more or less, and I
Yeah.
realized I'm in trouble. And I remember leaving the bend in fifth position, and I
Mm.
don't know how, but somehow I managed to just push a little bit more. And I was fighting with the Benin guy at my outside for the bronze, and I kind of knew Oscar was going to be in the medals because he was consistently running 45s. So at that stage, I took some of the pressure off, not thinking about the gold, which made me relax a bit. But I knew I had a
Mm.
real chance to fight for silver or bronze.
Yeah.
And I think the race unfolded so. Yes, it unfolded like, I kind of expected Isaac to go really fast. I expected Oscar to go really fast, and it's like it happened exactly like that. And when it happened, I didn't panic, but I knew now is the time I have to move. And yeah, it was one of the best experiences of my life.
Yeah. Tell us, so you come over the line third. What's going on in the Wildebeer's mind? What's going on in your heart at that point?
Um, it's difficult to describe. It's like it's unbelievable. You know it's happened, but you still don't believe it until your teammates congratulate you and until you actually receive the medal on the podium. It feels like a dream. And I remember feeling that, hoping that, athletically the doors are opening a bit.
Change.
So
Mm.
yeah, it's difficult as a senior athlete to continue in the game if there's no support. And which is one of the reasons many people actually stop running
Yeah.
before their prime. And I remember having that feeling of things are going to change now.
Mm. Hey, yeah, we'll get to that. Very, very big statement that you had, then a big thought as well, But I mean, obviously, that was in 20 African Championship. That was 2012, yeah, the year of
2012.
Olympic Games.
Yeah.
But obviously, I cannot talk about the 2011 World Championships because for me personally, I don't know. Maybe you can help or guide me with this one. I certainly believe, and I don't want to be funny. There's certain events that South Africans like. We've always at an international level and so on been able to perform, and you see, I like what Botswana have done because Botswana have identified their strongest type of events, and they give support towards those. You know what I mean? South Africa, we just have a pool of talent that allows us to every once in a while there'll be somebody who is just out of the world who would come out. There'll always be a LG Van Sale, Llewellyn Herbert, Alvain. There'll be a Mburain Muraudzi or Sipeng or Caster Semenya, Wade Van Niekerk, Simbini. There's always, but when it comes to the way we have structured things, is not doesn't look the way it looks in other countries. And 4x4, I mean 400 meters, one of those events where 4x4, I believe we can medal at every championship. 800-meter with the right support, we can medal. We've got 400-meter hurdles. We know we can medal 400-meter hurdles. The jumps have become fantastic. And then, I mean, then there's support that's needed to make all these other events also come up. It doesn't just happen by luck. We've had great jumpers, Hestri Kluter. We've had the likes of
Right on.
Freitag, Freitag. Okay, Brayton Poole is also one of those. Just a bit of history. But I mean, 4x4 is one of those events. I can almost, if I had to put money on events that could win medals, I'll always be like, listen, we've got enough guys to do it. Let's back the guys. Okay, I'm done. Let's talk about the 4x4 at at the World Championships. That must have been something. Tell us. We're gonna probably wrap it up after this one. But just tell us about the World Championships in Daegu. It's Daegu, yeah?
Yes, that's it. That's it. And that's the correct pronunciation. We had to, so the World Champs was in 2011.
Yeah.
When I attended, and it's in South Korea.
Mm.
But before that, we had the World Studio. Yes, it's actually a nice story though. In Belgium, 2011, there were four 400-meter athletes, of which two of those managed to be in the team by the time the final team was chosen, and that was me and that was a Feng Wani.
Oh,
And
thanks.
I remember in Belgium, we were all at the same meeting, but we were also close to each other in Europe. And there was a guy named Oliver, who was the agent,
Mm.
and Oliver managing Offense, and he was managing Isaac Makwala, and he was one of the movers in the that made sure that we could actually run at a Belgium race to get a qualifying time. And the
Mm.
story actually starts a little bit earlier than that. Most of the strong 400-meter runners was in Gauteng North or in the AGN province.
Yeah.
And we actually tried at the national champ to run the qualifying time to be in the top 16 in the world. Since
Mm.
there's only semi-finals. There's only 8 teams per semi-final. There can only be 16 teams. And we had to run 3 minutes 04 to be in with a chance to go to the World Champs. And we managed 3 minutes 04.3 at the national champs. And that was after running all of our individual events. So it was a far cry to actually manage that. And then in Belgium, all of us knew. Me, Offense Marawane, Sean de Jager, which was from Stellenbosch Marties, and Sibusiso Shishi, who was from Stellenbosch Marties.
Shishi man.
Yes, we were all brought there by this agent called Oliver, and it was in Belgium. I'm not Houston Solder, and we all knew that if we all run what we are capable of running, we can break 304, and we managed to run 303. And that qualified us within the top 10 countries in the world to go to the World Championship. Sadly for Sean de Jager and Sibusiso Shishi, they weren't in the final team. The team was chosen based on the medalists at the national champs and also fastest time in the year. And before that, there was another guy named Shane Victor, who was from KZN. And Shane and myself, we went to the World Students as well. And we were also, we managed to get the bronze medal at the World Students. And from the World Students, which was in China, we just went directly to Korea, never having come home. And by that time, me and Shane were race ready, race fit. And the rest of the guys, Pistorius and Algie van Sale and Offense Mogawani joined us in Korea. We joined them actually, coming from the World Students. And I think for me and Shane, having come off the success of the World Students, where we ran with Andre Olivier and PC Bieneke to get the bronze medal, we had that kind of backing, knowing that we just had success and we wanted more. And I think something that people often neglect or overlook, not neglect rather. When we got to Korea, the 4x4 relays was it more or less at the end of the championships. So in the days prior to the heats, we were just chilling and sleeping and eating and watching athletics. And at the dining hall, we had really good food. We were like eating sashimi every day, for like every day. Sashimi and tomato starters and pasta and whatever. And the rest of the time, we were sleeping and we were getting massages every 36 hours. And I think that really primed our bodies because we really. And having come to the semi-finals, because it's semi-finals, finals, I think we had a point to prove as well. Because there was some of the team management who didn't believe in our ability to reach the final. And also, this is without naming any names. Shane Victor, I hope he's watching. Shane Victor asked one of the team managers, "Do you think we can break the national record?" And the team manager said, "No, not you, not this team, but you can come close." And that was the day prior to the semi-finals. And after hearing that, both me and Shane had a point to prove. And also, I think at that time, Offense was 29. And he had I don't know how old his daughter is now, but his daughter was still a small daughter, a small girl. And Offense had been to world champions before, but never in a final. So I think what was good there, the dynamics of the team, each of us ran with a motivation which was not for ourselves. I ran to help Offense final. Shane ran to prove that this team is not such a bad team. Yeah, and by that time Shane Victor also only had a 46.1 PB, eh?
Yeah.
And LJ came from in the same day that we had semi-final, he had the 400 hurdles final, in which he came third. That was a big motivation for the team, having known we are running with a world medalist. And also in the heats, Oscar Pistorius also had a point to prove, because that was the first time he was allowed in an open championship with able bodies.
Championship,
and that was also the first time he was allowed to run the relay, with the regulation that he would run the first heat, the first leg.
Yeah.
So all of us had kind of a point to prove. For me and Shane, we had points to prove that for me, I wanted to help Offense get to the final. And for Offense, he was running for his daughter.
Yeah.
And he was also running in his first final. And having done that, we really gave Jamaica and the States, America, really gave them a run for their money. And we managed to run not only the national record, but 2 minutes 59. And there was, I remember the commentators after watching that thing afterwards, being so surprised that South Africa is still in the mix, and with each leg that ran, they were saying surprisingly South Africa is still.
Yeah.
And I think it was just the story of the underdog, you know. People
Yeah.
were expecting teams like Belgium with the Borley twins. People were expecting the British. People were expecting the Bahamas. They weren't expecting us. People were expecting the Australians, having been on the podium the previous World Championships. So it was just nice for us, for me, being there as an underdog, and then the final. Simba, by that time, I ran that final. It was my ninth 4x4 relay in a space of a year. Provincial teams, university teams, national teams, and I knew that I knew by what time the second runner needed to run and what time the third runner needed to run, and whether we were on pace or not. And let me tell you, that 3 minutes or that 2 minutes 59, yes, it goes by so quickly. And you know,
Yeah.
the stress of having 6,000 people around you and your throat feels like it's locked up, and you know you're gonna run, and you are shivering in your little space boots, but at the same time you feel confident knowing what happened the
Yeah.
previous day, knowing you have someone like Algie van Sail on your team who medaled, knowing there was an Offense who managed to run a 43-9 split officially.
Benzo was
Um,
flying, Billy.
yes, yes. So having known all those facts and having known that we already proved the team managers wrong, it was just a boost. Yeah, it was just insane. And the aftermath, it took me 2 months. It took me the whole from October, November to actually grasp the enormity of it, to understand
Yeah.
what happened, to realize that you are a national record holder, to realize that you were second in the world. Um, it's it's unbelievable. You can't fathom it. It's too big, and it takes time to actually process it. Yeah.
Mm. Wow, man. I was watching that race. I see Irvin Smeedy saying you still South African schools 4x400 meter record holder. Hey man, really, you need to give up some of these records, man. Some people want a piece of them as well. But just to get back to like, yeah, just watching that. I mean, it was really like goosebumps. It was such a beautiful moment, because now, especially as you put the individual stories together and the individual motivation, it makes so much sense why you guys were able to do what you did. You know what I mean? Having LJ Van Zyl as an anchor. I mean, I think between LJ Van Zyl and Ufense Magawane, these are probably the two most seasoned 4x400 meter relay runners of all time in South Africa. Commonwealth Games, World Championships, Olympics, etc. They were there. They've done it all. But I mean, to see how you guys, I mean, Shane Victor there was always, people were always wondering that should he be in the team, should he not be? And then for him to run the way he did, and to prove that, listen, we couldn't have chosen a better team. This was the hungriest team we could possibly choose. And then, I mean, come on, aftermath is aftermath. The rest is history. The record still stands. The memories, the medal. Woo, where are you keeping that medal, Billy? Don't tell me, because people might come. But is it safe? Is all up,
Yeah,
or no? Is it safe?
it, that's in the African champ medals, and the World Students medal. It's not with the rest. The rest
It's
are on
safe.
display. Yeah. So I have this medal case, like it's a trophy case my grandfather made for me at the age of 7, and I still have it. And all the other medals went in there, but those medals didn't go in there.
Yeah, don't tell me where they are, really. There's a lot of people that
Yes.
will be interested. Let's just leave it at that. But yeah, man, I think with that, really, I think we're gonna let's wrap it up from there. There's a lot of stuff. I mean, I wanted to chat about, but I think we left it at a high there. There is obviously there's more. There's always more. But I mean, I'm happy. I'm happy with the way the chat is gonna end. Just a message to South Africans. Message to those who have always supported you, your family, your wife, friends, international friends you've made, fellow teammates, etc. What message do you have for them and everybody who's watching as well?
Well, first of all, everybody that actually tuned in, thanks so much for listening to two older men talk about the past. And for everybody that supported me, I can't stress for professional athletes. And there's a difference: professional or elite athlete. Professional means you are getting paid. Elite means you are on the
Mm-hmm.
same level, but you're not paid.
Yeah.
Whether you are professional, I can't stress the importance of having a support network.
Mm.
People that understand your abilities, understand your talent, and people who believe in you, because this is just like the 4x4. It's an event at the World Champs
Yeah.
or at the
Yeah.
Olympics or Commonwealth or wherever, but it's a team effort. And at that time, being at Tuks, having a bursary back then, being part of the HPC, being one of the sponsored athletes for 2.5 or 3 years, I'm not sure.
Mm.
Having who understood, and society kind of precious athletes, or like anyone, precious people to start contributing to society. Getting a
Mm.
salary and
Yeah.
starting paying your bills and things like that. It puts pressure on you, and if you have someone that understands and give you the leniency, it's very important.
It helps a
Um,
lot.
yeah, the support network, it's it's a team effort. It's not something that you can do on your own. No matter how much or how big of a hard worker you are, or how much money you have, it's you need those people. My coaches, one of my most prominent coaches was Henny Kriel,
Yeah.
who helped me discover my senior career. And my high school coach, Juffrou Rihanna Raad, if you're listening,
Yeah. Legend.
those people formed me. And without them, this people, and even this guy would definitely not be listening. Gerard Bester, who was my primary school coach, um, teaching me proper mechanics. Everybody plays a role in your success as an athlete. Even the people that worked with me when I was 12. And the physiotherapists and all those things, because as an athlete how many times you are like this for massage at with if it's with JP or whoever. um, you need so much from other people that you cannot do this on your own. So my advice for younger athletes would be, build your support structure with people that you trust,
Yeah.
and
That's good.
yourself with in a couple of years. Don't surround yourself with people who don't believe in you, and people who don't want to see you succeed or whatever. Um, for younger athletes, I wish there were some things that I could change. I do have some regrets. So
Mm.
yeah, live your life in such a way that you don't have regrets, and finish your athletics career the way you want to.
Yeah.
Don't let don't let anybody tell you how you want to, how you should be doing it, and don't look at what professional athletes are doing. because you aren't them. All of them are different. You can't be doing whatever worked for them, because if everybody started copying Usain Bolt or copying Wade van Niekerk, you are not them. You don't have their running style. You don't have the same support structure. You have to make use with what you have. So yeah, trust your coach and trust your training program. Don't jump ship when things go bad. Stick with your coach,
Yeah.
because I can tell you, after having 2 back-to-back injuries for 2 years, people didn't even think I was going to come back to running. People also expected me to leave my coach. So yeah, stick with the plan, and most important, you have to believe in it. And yeah, give thanks to the Lord for whatever you receive, and give praise to Him, because ultimately we're not running for our own egos. If you are, you're in trouble. We run because we can, and we run because we were given a talent and ability to run.
Man, you know, we didn't even get to the Coach Willie side of things. You know, obviously training a lot of young athletes, as well as you know, the likes of Tando Roto. It's big work, you know, and I mean, you continue to serve the sport, man. And I mean, I think for me that's always beautiful. It's beautiful to see former athletes not run away from the sport. I mean, you still love the sport. You competed in masters athletics as well, and I just continue to just, you know, enjoy the sport. I mean, that's encouraging as well. But really, thanks a lot for joining us tonight. It was a good chat. I really enjoyed it. I hope those who are watching enjoyed it as well, and learned something as well. You know, but yeah, thanks a lot for your time. We will probably catch up, and we'll see you again soon once the track is open. So thanks a lot, brother. Take care and have a good one.
Thanks a lot. Cheers.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching. We had a very good chat with Willie, aka Willem de Beer, Wille Beer, this evening. We'll catch up again. We'll have another chat later this week, so we'll be doing that. So make sure to tune in. It will be on Thursday, most probably. So thanks, guys. Strap Prep, thanks for joining us. Smitty, Jane Tipo from New Zealand, QB, thanks for joining, as well as everybody who's watched Love Athletics. Thanks for joining, guys. Take care. Good night and God bless.